You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Speaking of Pastor Jamal Bryant, I got a chance to talk with him after today's rally about how important these two races are in Georgia. All right, Pastor Jamal Bryant, this is probably, out of all the rallies we covered, probably one of the largest rallies here. How critical is this county going to be for John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock?
It is so critical, and all the more DeKalb County is the most overlooked county. Most people focus on Fulton, but DeKalb County is growing and mushrooming because our young adult population. And there's a whole lot of young people who have shown up in this place more than a whole lot of other rallies.
And one of the things that we do know is that about 76,000 folks who did not vote November 3rd registered vote in this runoff. Half of them are people of color.
Yes, it's so critical. Atlanta erupted in May after the killing of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and many of the old guard didn't think young people would go to the polls, but they showed up in record numbers on November 3rd, and now they're believing that they're going to show up now. 1 million have already participated in early voting.
This is going to be a turnout deal. You can run ads all day you want to, but this is also on the ground, and so folks who you're with, Divine Nine, others, talk about what that ground game has been like.
We're still doing it the old-fashioned way. People are going door to door. People are still going to barbershops. What you've seen in Atlanta, nothing is closed. So we're going in the community, in the malls, in restaurants, because that high tech has got to match the high touch.
Well, one of the things that also we're looking at, black folks are going to be key. They're going to be critical in this election. They're moving at a higher rate. But what I keep hearing is also the rural parts of Georgia, Albany, Columbus,
yes,
Macon, Savannah, also driving the numbers there.
I'm a part of the Black Church PAC, in which I've told them spend no time in Atlanta. It is the rural areas that need to support mobilizing those pastors. So we're in places like Newnan, Georgia, and Macon, Georgia, and Warner Robins, Georgia, because those are those areas, little numbers will make a big impact.
And what has been the response with the Black Church PAC? I've seen their bus. They've been traveling around. How has that been going?
It's giving the church to come outside of the stained glass and come in the street corners. It's forcing the church to be its authentic, historic self. And so it's a great time for the church.
And obviously in this COVID world, what's also happening is that the church also, look, you don't have all of them coming and congregating.
Yes.
So they had no choice but to be digital. So they're going to really do the outreach to get people out voting.
The irony is that you've got a black pastor running for Senate, which demands that the black church can't be on the sidelines. It's got to be on the front line. You've interviewed me many times about the role of the black church, and now the black church has no option but to know you can't be a spectator. You've got to be a participant.
All right, then. Pastor Brown, we appreciate it. Let's do this. All right, folks, let's go to our panel. Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, she's a political analyst. Mustafa Santiago Ali, of course, PhD, also former senior advisor for the Environmental Justice EPA. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist, president emerita with Bennett College. I'll start with you, Julianne. Ground game. 8 days until Election Day. 3 more days of early voting here in Georgia, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This really is going to be about that point that Pastor Jamal Bryant just made. I know these folks today, these Democrats, these political analysts, they love focusing on phone calls and text messages and digital ads, things along those lines. But the reality is you've got to connect with people, go where they are, go into those places to get them to go out to the polls, because this, when you say every vote matters, this election could very well come down to 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20,000 votes, considering Joe Biden won this state by less than 12,000 votes.
Absolutely, Roland. This could be 1% of the vote. And I expect if it is 1% of the vote, they'll recount, But the fact is that Black folks have boots on the ground. You have Melanie Campbell, a National Coalition of Black Civic Participation. You have Latasha Brown. You have Felicia Davis. You have Black women and men, but I'm plugged into the sisters who are literally turning it out. They're working 24/7. They're knocking on doors. As many people said, this high-tech thing, I don't mean to be the old fogey. High-tech works, kind of. But the connection works a whole lot better than sending somebody an email. So if I knock on your door, as I go to your church, and we can't do that anymore with COVID, but if I knock on your door, if I meet you on a corner, you've made a connection. And we've seen people make connections, and that you see the turn high. Because typically, as James Clyburn has written in the Washington Post, basically, Runoff disfavor Black people. But if we mobilize Black people, we will turn out. And fingers crossed, we're hoping that they will turn out. The rally that you were at with Brother Jamal Bryant, amazing. The two candidates, amazing. The commercials that they put out, amazing. I especially like the one with the dog and the beagle. But amazing, making their point. And meanwhile, little Miss Barbie lookalike, and the guy who won't debate, and I forget their names. But in any case, those two are basically hiding behind their privilege. So we have to just give props to these courageous Democrats who can make a difference in the way governing goes down.
Again, what we're dealing with here really is just about, how you get folks out to the polls. How do you begin to drive them? That's the piece. When you look at this video here, this is just some of the drone footage, Mustafa, that we shot today. Just to understand, they've been having these type of rallies, and look, these are important. Even though they've been happening in the daytime, they really are important because we've seen an increasing number. We were here yesterday. We landed yesterday morning. John Ossoff did an event with Black artists. Pastor Warnock had two rallies yesterday. One at a church, one in another part of Metro Atlanta. And so when you see the people turning out, when you see these numbers, when you see the focus and the attention, and when you see the energy, that's what it requires. And they're telling people, you've got to call and text, let everybody know that they got to get out here and vote.
Yeah, without a doubt. Black folks have been building the infrastructure for a decade now in Georgia for this moment, making sure that everything could come together, and even without the resources that were necessary. And luckily now we have resources that are flowing. So now folks are putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. There, as been shared, going out to the barbershop, the salon, and to the rib joint, making sure that when somebody's standing outside to get those, that they also get the flyer, or that they get that information that's necessary. Making sure when folks come to the supermarket, they're also making sure that they're talking to them then. So we understand that we now see the goal line. We just got to make sure that folks stay focused. And that doesn't mean just folks in Georgia. That means that everyone across this country who's watching this show, if you know somebody in Georgia, reach out. You can make sure that you're making a donation if that's the way that you can give back. You can be a part of the phone banks. You can do so many different things. So we don't have to be in Georgia to support folks in Georgia. We just got to listen to what they're asking us to do, and then make sure that we get in line and do what they are telling us that will be very helpful in getting across the finish line.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.